So, let's talk about something huge. In a world where lines of code now control billions, literally billions of dollars, what's our first, last, and only line of defense? Well, as we're going to see, it all comes down to something that sounds simple, a code review. But trust me, it's way more than that.
And this right here, this quote just nails it. You got to understand, we're not talking about your average software bug that just makes an app crash. We're talking about the absolute bedrock of trust in this whole new decentralized economy. Because when code is the money, making sure that code is bulletproof, well, that's everything.
Okay, so to really get why these audits are so non-negotiable, we have to start with this really powerful, kind of scary idea that's at the heart of every smart contract, the principle that code is law. So what even is a smart contract, right? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a super strict vending machine. It follows one simple rule. If X happens, then Y happens. You put the money in, that's X, and the snack comes out, that's Y. No questions asked. No one in the middle, no delays, just pure, unfeeling, automated logic running on the blockchain.
And this is where you really see the night and day difference. Think about old school paper contracts. They need lawyers, judges, courts, the whole 9 yards. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's all up for interpretation. Smart contracts? Totally the opposite. They're enforced instantly, right on the network. The execution is just math. It's not subjective at all.
And that brings us to the most important and maybe the most dangerous part of this whole thing. On the blockchain, the code doesn't just suggest the rules. The code is the rule. It's the final authority. It doesn't care what the programmer meant to write. It doesn't care about intentions. It just does exactly what it's told. For better, and as we're about to see, for much, much worse.
Which, of course, leads us to the dark side of all this. This code is law idea is amazing when it works, but it is completely unforgiving. So, let's look at what happens when that law has a tiny little loophole.
Now really, think about that. I mean, what does happen when the law itself is broken? If the code is the judge, jury, and executioner, then a flaw in that code isn't just a simple bug. It's a broken law that some clever attacker can use. And technically, they're just following the rules of the system. This is what happens. $625 million. And that's not some made-up number for a movie. That's the real amount of money that vanished in the Ronin network hack. It was an absolute catastrophe. Hundreds of millions of dollars gone because of a single flaw.
And believe me, that was not a one-off thing. The Poly network hack? Another $600 million. Poof, gone. All because of a vulnerability in their code. I mean, the scale of these losses, it's just hard to even wrap your head around.
And then there's the big one, the one that kind of started it all, the infamous DAO hack. Now, 50 million might not sound like as much today, but back in 2016, this was so catastrophic it literally split the Ethereum blockchain in two. This was the moment everyone realized, oh wow, the code does not forgive, not ever.
So these huge hacks, they aren't magic. They're not some impossible feat. They happen because of very specific, known types of bugs in the code. Things like reentrancy, that's the exact bug that took down the DAO, or something called access control flaws, which is basically leaving the front door wide open when it should be locked tight.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a billion-dollar problem. So what's the solution? How do you possibly defend against this stuff? Well, the answer, our first line of defense, is a professional, hardcore security audit. And let's be clear, an audit is not just some developer glancing over the code for a few minutes. It is a deep dive professional investigation, a forensic analysis. You can think of auditors as digital detectives. They are hunting for clues, vulnerabilities in the code, in the economic design, in the whole architecture, before it ever goes live, before a single dollar is at risk.
So what does one of these investigations actually involve? What are they really doing? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the anatomy of a real professional audit.
Right, so a proper audit isn't just random poking around. It follows a super rigorous process. First, there's preparation and scoping. The auditors have to understand what the project is even trying to do. Then comes the actual review. And this is a 1-2 punch of automated tools that scan for common issues and, this is the most important part, a meticulous line-by-line manual review by a human expert. After that, they actually try to break it. They simulate attacks, they push it to its limits. And at the very end, they deliver this super detailed report laying out everything they found.
And one of the most useful things in that report is this classification system. See, they don't just give you a giant list of bugs. That's not helpful. They rank them by how bad they are. A critical bug? That's a 5-alarm fire. It means fix this right now or you will lose everything. A low-severity issue, on the other hand, might just be a suggestion to make the code a bit more efficient. It's all about helping the team prioritize.
So when you put all this together, you get to what is probably the single best economic argument in the entire crypto space: the absolutely insane return on investment you get from a good security audit. I mean, look at this. This chart tells the whole story, doesn't it? That tiny little bar, that's the cost of an audit, and that giant skyscraper of a bar next to it, that's the potential cost of getting hacked. We're talking about spending maybe tens of thousands of dollars to prevent a loss in the hundreds of millions. The math is just undeniable.
And it all boils down to this fundamental truth, especially in a world of irreversible blockchain transactions. There's often no recovery. Once the money is gone, it's gone for good. So prevention isn't just the best plan, it's literally the only plan.
And you know, the payoff isn't just about not losing money. A solid audit report? That builds huge confidence for investors. It protects a project's reputation from that forever stain of a hack, and honestly, it makes the entire ecosystem safer and more reliable for all of us.
All right, so what's next? Where is all this heading? Because this field is not standing still. The attackers get smarter every single day, so the defenders have to get smarter faster. We're seeing a huge shift. Security isn't just a one-and-done thing you do before you launch anymore. It's becoming this continuous, ongoing process. You know, in the past, it was all about these manual audits. Now we're already into continuous monitoring. But the future, and we're talking just a few years away, is all about AI-driven systems that can spot incredibly complex vulnerabilities in real time. We're talking about AI that can understand not just the code, but the economic incentives and find flaws that a human might miss. And all of this leaves us with one last big idea to think about. In this new world, it's the auditors, the security researchers, the developers who are obsessed with building things the right way. They're not just writing code. They're shaping the foundational rules. They're basically writing the constitution for this new digital economy. And that is why all of this matters so much.